Congrats, thank you. Oh, like when more people come, I'll tell like the freaking ordeal, how long it took. I don't exactly remember how long it took, but like I just remember the process, like the steps. It's so like what do we think of the look? Thank you, Silva. So we are now legally Luna. I can do so much now. Like I can get into stocks now. I can sign contracts without having to use my old name, and I can apply for a business number. Like, because I didn't want to do all that stuff with my old name, because that's cringe. I finally got my name legally changed, which is, I don't know when I first started, but it was a whole ordeal. Like, let me tell you, like, with the hormones and stuff like that. So, I think for you to change your name and your sex legally, they have to know that you're being serious. And so you had to have like had a doctor's approval or whatever. And for that to happen, you kind of need to show that you're being serious, I guess, by going on hormones or doing whatever. Thank you, Joe. But before you could get onto hormones, you have to self-identify as trans for over a year at least. So I identified as a trans woman. I did a video a long time ago with my coming out. So it was been a year. I went to the doctors, like I went to this clinic, like a gender clinic, to try and meet up with the doctors, do the interviews and stuff like that. And then it was like, I didn't exactly remember how long I had self-identified as trans. And so I was like, oh, I guess it was like 8 months or whatever. And then the doctor was like, oh, maybe you should do it for a little bit more, just, give it more time or whatever, till we get to the 1 year mark. So I was like, okay. So I waited a bit, and then I realized like I actually it has been a year, because I looked back over my video to see the dates, and it had actually been over a year already. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll go back. And I went back to the doctor, and then she was like, okay, yeah, lovely. We can put you on hormone and stuff like that. But then before that, I had to do like a lot of like checkups, like blood tests, and like going back and forth interviews, and like scheduling for the doctor. And then so we did that. But again, that took a while. Like if you guys knew, like me going on hormones took a long time. And then to change my name and stuff, I had to get all the forms and stuff. Thank you, Cameron, for the 30 months. Thank you. To do the forms, I had to get all the forms and stuff like that. I had to get all my ID, like my passport, yada yada yada. And then I had to go to find like people, like a friend or whatever, or someone that I knew that would like say like, oh, Lumi or Lena is being serious or whatever, because you need like approval or whatever. And then I needed approval from someone that was like certified authority or whatever they call it. So that could be like someone that's a doctor, a police officer, or someone that's working in that field of like governmentry or whatever, so then I had to reschedule shit for like my doctor, but there was like always this like confusion back and forth where there was like a phone interview, but I wanted a in-person interview, so like that got messed up and all that stuff. And it would be like weeks as well, like to get each other. And then I also had to what else did I have to do? I mean, like when I sent in all my forms, like filling out the forms was one ordeal. And then when I sent it in the forms, like the Victorian or like the Australian government shit, that took a long time for them to like process everything and respond, because it took like 2 to 3 weeks for them to respond back. And then they'll be like, oh, sorry, you didn't certify this, actually. You need to go to like special places where they will check to see if your passport, because you have to return your passport and all your other ID to show that this is certified and actually real and it's not forged, like forgery, fakery, scammery. So I was like, okay, I did that. And so I went to the post office, they certified it, yada, yada, yada. I sent it back, and then it took another 3 weeks, 4 weeks for them to finally respond back and be like, okay, we sent it in, lovely. And then like just now, my mom got a letter saying that I am of my new birth certificate as Luna. So I love that. But yeah, it really was such. It was actually such a long time. It's so slow. It's such an ordeal to like go through all the forms and stuff like that. And again, like it wasn't even just like filling out the form, like getting the form, filling out the form, sending in the form. I also had to wait a lot of time beforehand to because it's like they want to know that you're being serious, so they have to know like how they want to know how long you've been self-identifying for and yada yada yada. So yeah, I do have a question. Are there any trans people here? So if you're a trans person, like a trans man, trans woman, you would put like male and female or whatever, like you as you identify, right? Because the way I understand, like, you know, male and female are like the sex part, right? Like I do have a male body, but I don't think I want to put male under my passport or whatever, right? Like I would say like I would have male parts, but I wouldn't say like I'm a male. But you can be a male and still identify as a woman. Like that is totally possible. But I guess I'm just asking like you girls, like what would you do? Like if you're a trans man, do you put male? And if you're a trans woman, do you also put female? Because I actually like kind of hate that they ask like are you a male or female? Because like I have male body parts, but I don't want to be put down as male, you know? But I did put that as female, so I love that. What's the difference between transgender and transsexual? Well, those are like outdated terms. Like people don't really distinguish transgender and transsexual anymore. How people used to do it, again, which is outdated, is that transgender is how you identify as a woman or whatever, or a man or whatever, like your gender. Whereas transsexual, they try to differentiate it by your body parts. Like, for example, I identified as a woman many years ago, 2 years ago. I don't even know how long it's been, to be honest. I wasn't on hormones and I haven't done surgery. So if you were old fashioned and old school, you would have said, oh, Lumi is transgender, but she's not a transsexual because she didn't have surgery or hormones. Now that I do have hormones, like that same person would say, oh, you're now transsexual. But the reason why it's outdated is because it doesn't invalidate me, or it doesn't make me less or more of a woman just because I'm on hormones or just because I don't have surgery, right? Like just because I'm on hormone didn't make me any more of a woman than before I was on hormones. Or just because I have surgery, if I do, I don't know if I will, but just because I have surgery down the line doesn't mean I'm more of a woman in the future than I am now. So that's why it's like a very outdated thing, like transsexualism and transgender. Like we don't really do that anymore. And it also, like, then you go into the territory as well of like people that would like to, but just don't have the means to. Like maybe they don't have the money or whatever, right? Or maybe they're just, it's not safe for them to come out, but you know, they want to. But so yeah, so we don't like to use transsexual and transgender like separately like that anymore. Can we be specific? How do we call you now? I mean, most people just call me Lumi. I've been Lena for quite a while now. I've name changed to like Lena for a year now, like in like friends and all. How does the whole process affect you emotionally? I mean, it's not, to me, like, it's not like, I think it's because I'm surrounded by so many supportive people with my stream and my friends and my mom, that it didn't really matter if like legally I was still my old name and a male, because it's like in the real world, no one calls me that. Like, unless you're like some, the way we can't even say that word, like we can't say insult, like the actual word, so we have to say insult. We can't say it on Twitch. But if you're like a solo cute insult, in Celeron, you know, you probably would call me like a boy and all that. But in the real world, like no one really calls me that. Like everyone just calls me a woman or by my name Luna, or they just refer to me by she her, right? Like my friends who, when I go outside, that's just life for me. So it didn't really matter about my ID, like unless I was going to bars or whatever and I had to show my ID, which I never really went outside, so it never really affected me. The only times it really affected me was when I was signing contracts for like sponsorships or deals or whatever. It did gate me. Like I've been wanting to get into stocks. I've been wanting to get a business number for my channel. I've been wanting to do all that stuff, but I mean, I could technically, but I didn't want to put down my name. Like when you do stocks, you have to obviously put down your legal name and stuff like that. But like, I didn't want to put down my old name, right? Especially knowing that I would change it eventually. Then I had to like, you know, redo it again. So now that it's finally legally changed, I can now do all that stuff without having to worry. Like whenever I had to sign for a contract for a sponsorship or whatever, even like joining Click Management, I was sweating. I would be like, oh my god, like I really don't want to put down my old name. But then if I put down my new name, then it's like I'm kind of lying because that's actually not my legal name just yet, you know? Thankfully, Click Management was like really, really nice about it. They were like, oh, that's okay. Like you can, first you don't need a business number because it does ask for it, but they were like, oh, whatever, don't care. And then they say like, oh, well, you can put down your new name and then in brackets your old name if you want. And I was like, okay, period. So we love that. Do you feel more willing to interact with the real world now that your name has changed? It didn't really affect me though, is the thing. Like when I go outside, like I'll just be called Luna. Like no one's gonna ID check me and like see my old name and hi Squish. Like no one's gonna ID check me or like no one's gonna question me. Like fortunately, I'm quite passable. Like I mean, maybe with makeup. I don't know if without makeup, but fortunately, I'm quite passable. So like, people kind of just take me for what I say. Like, you know, like if I say I go by she, her pronouns, or even they don't even need to ask me. Like they go to she, her pronouns already. And if I say my name's Luna, like they just call me Luna. Like that's on period. Like they don't ID check me, right? In the real world. But I think even if like there were some clockable parts, like my Adam's apple, my voice or whatever, like no tits or whatever, I think most people are like, even though there are some parts where I'm like unsure and this is clockable, whatever, this person with the way they're presenting themselves, with the way they're trying to sound, with the way they try to dress and whatever present themselves, I get a feeling that they are trying to they're trying to show other people that they want to be referred as she, her. So like even if people do clock me, I guess in that sense, like they know that I'm like biologically a male, they don't care and they're nice enough to be like, oh, okay, I see them as a trans woman. So from my personal experience, it hasn't, like my old legal name being what it was before didn't really impact my life. I mean, I didn't even go outside anyway, so like whatever. So I think that's all I wanted to say about like the name changery. Shall we watch this? Let's watch.
Yes, Queen Skinny Legend Versace boots the house down. Slay Queen.
Think about the sisters are unholy.
Charlie X, yes, snatch my wig.
So this is the Absolution, Sentinel of Light cinematic.
In the name of love.
Yes, Queen Skinny Legend Versace.
Think about this, Charlie. Thank you.
All the lives.
Congratulations on the name change, Lumi. Sending my love to you as always 3.
Thank you.
You have driven good men mad.
I actually haven't really followed the event. Like you get to see the story in the event and click, but I actually just skip everything and don't even bother clicking sometimes. Hi Jack! The mon's operative. The gangery. The monk gang. The monk gangery. Monk gangery. Okay, Gwen. Oh.
No!
Honestly, that's what she deserves.
Is not easily dissuaded.
Honestly, what she deserves. Let's be real. The monster hurry.
It's what she deserves.
Alright.
Is Viego that OP that can destroy like 5-6 people? Like, hello?
Show them no pity.
Why is this so reflective of like the real game? Like, it's so reflective of Viego in game.
Parasite.
Him 1v6ing, 1v5ing.
Nobody here on his shirt? Well, I didn't mean you.
Okay, something's happening I don't really know. Something with Isolde. Oh.
Viego, your black and broken heart has destroyed everything. You turned our season of love into an eternity
Yeah,
of
that accent.
illness and madness. All this death, all this ruination. And for what? This obsession?
Obsession.
Alright.
I loved you into my final breath. Why wasn't that enough? Our tragedy should have died with me. Now, let me rest.
What's this auction going to do? Meal?
This is exactly what
And the cycle begins. And then the cycle just begins again. Like, unless he truly dies.
It's what she deserves.
That's all. Ew. Ew. Is this why everyone says it's a mop floppery? That's all. Okay. He just got sucked up. I feel like the ending, like the victory, is a bit too dramatic for how little that fight was. Like, I don't know if you can call that a fight. Like, it was just like almost too easy. I mean, I don't really need like a total like anime fight, but I guess if they like maybe had like they set up like a plan, like rather than, because that was very like in the moment, like Akshan just like got a sneaky attack or whatever. But like if they, I don't know, if there was like some sort of plan, like oh, the egg can't be destroyed unless we do this, and so we have to do this plan and then execute it well. Like, sure.
Are y'all
Great.
ready for the Fortnite Ari concert Luminum party?
Thank you for the sub, Panahan. Then maybe I would be more on board, but I mean, this was a bit like lackluster, I guess. I'm sure everyone can kind of agree. I guess everyone was right when they said it's a floppery. Well, that's a waste of 5 minutes, I guess. You know what would have been cool? I love how like they do it in anime, like Bleach or whatever, where it's like one person versus another person, right? And it's always like, I don't know, someone counters someone. Like, it could be Thresh versus one person and then Pantheon versus another person, and you know what I mean? Like the 1v1s in animes that always happens. Like, I feel like that's cool.